Ongela, thank you so much for coming today and sharing your story. Ongela is a yoga instructor and a pranic healer in Pennsylvania. She is also a former U.S. Army sergeant. She's a veteran. She was deployed in Iraq from 2005 to 2006. She has also graduated from Delaware Valley College's ornamental horticulture program and managed Ayurvedic herbal and tropical plant farms. And today she's going to talk about pranic healing, her military experience, and how all that fits together. So Ongela, thank you so much for coming today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for joining as well. It's good to see some new faces and some old faces as well. And that's kind of what my message is, just looking back through my life story really has been the thing that I tend to gravitate towards is the camaraderie aspect. And especially from having that in the military, I think that's one of the things that I really found with pranic healing is that almost anywhere that you go, you can find a pranic healer. Or, I mean, I have crazy stories of running into random people that are pranic healers or some sort of energy worker. And it's really amazing just to see how the family is expanding. It really does feel like a tribe and that you feel like you are part of a bigger group. So it's a pleasure to be here for sure. So my name's Ongela Djerf. The D is silent if you're looking to see how to say my last name. My father was born in Copenhagen, so it's a very Scandinavian name. So I was born in Allentown, Pennsylvania. We moved to Texas when I was about 1 year old, and I lived there until I was about 15. My parents had divorced, and my mom's side of the family was up in Pennsylvania. So spent some time with my father, and then 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and then 1 year of college, I was back in Pennsylvania. It was a challenging time going from a place in southern Texas that's, you know, very open and loving and everybody says hi to everybody, to the Northeast, which can be a bit cold and people aren't always as accepting of everybody as they are. So that was a challenging time, but I think it also was the opportunity for me to look outside of this place and not just stay here. So I decided to join the military. My boyfriend, who's my high school sweetheart, he had joined the Army. I had wanted to go in the Marines, but whatever, it didn't work out that way, which is completely fine because Marines are they're very tough. I don't know if I could have done that, even though I did very well in the Army. I love the challenge, the physical challenge, all of it. So I really did excel, especially like in basic training. And then in the beginning of my job training, my partner, my boyfriend, he was killed in a car accident. So that was an opportunity for me to stuff all those emotions down and start this process of the issues are in your tissues. I didn't learn that until maybe just a few years ago. So this is going back from 2001 until now, almost 20 years later. It took about 15 years really on my healing journey to even just deal with that. Last year with pranic healing was the first time that I really actually got to the bottom of losing my partner and grieving, and pranic healing really, really helped me just with my mindset, going back through those patterns, just feeling that support also that was on a spiritual level versus just, I was going to the VA a lot, and I don't mean to say just, it definitely has its purpose and its place, but going through, almost 12 years of therapy, and pranic healing has launchpad me into just really being able to understand myself, my own emotions, and work through them. So with my partner, once Dave, his name is Dave, once he had passed, I was like, this is an opportunity to shove that all down, start a new life. And that's pretty much what I did. I just threw my entire self into being in the Army, just everything that I could do. I was like a first line medic, like additional duties. Let me start where my job was. It was a 94 Foxtrot, which is special electronics repair. So I fixed communications equipment, even like faxes, old rotary phones, like different things that we don't use anymore. We still train on them, but we also did stuff like fiber optics and really cool, advanced technology as well. I also did get a lot of training for the first response medic. So fast forward to being in Iraq, I took a lot of helicopter rides. It started out as on the ground first, but they were very dangerous being in convoys. So we decided to go to helicopter. I got to see a lot of the country by air, which was amazing. But I mean, it was also definitely very dangerous. We got shot at in a helicopter. It's kind of a scary place to be where you can't do anything. You know, you're putting your lives in the hands of the gunners. And so it was a wild experience, but I got to see a lot of the country. We got attacked on our camp quite a lot. So all that training that I had as a first response medic really came into play. Unfortunately though, I developed a drinking problem when I was over there as a coping mechanism. It was very stressful. I was a sergeant, and I actually got stop lossed to go over to Iraq. I was done with my 4 years in August of 2004. I'm sorry, 2005. I had joined 1 week after September 11th. So 2005, I got stop loss and had to stay in for an extra 1.5 years to be deployed because I had already filled this position. I was like a model soldier. I had 7 soldiers underneath of me. So they're like, you're going. So I went, I did my best. I think we did a pretty amazing job. We were the first company to go to our forward operating base in Iraq, and we came back with every single person in our company. It was like the first group to go over there and do that. So we did have a couple of Purple Hearts. Our camp got attacked quite often. So just using that training that I had was fantastic at the time to be able to perform. But all those things, I never had any therapy or, talk to anybody about what I was experiencing. And so I started having really bad nightmares, just a lot of anxiety. So I started drinking. I actually had some of my family and friends send me some alcohol and stuff. Little did they know, like they just thought, oh yeah, it's nice to have a drink every now and then. Little did they know that I actually was developing a drinking problem over there. And there were a few times I almost got caught, did some stupid things, but luckily, like angels looking over me, whatever it is, I was able to perform all my duties, do very well over there. I was awarded for what I did. But I definitely had this coping mechanism that I brought back with me. So then we came back from deployment. There were definitely a lot of the signs of PTSD. I didn't know about it. This is in 2006. So there wasn't, it's not like it is today, where a lot of people really understand mental health, or at least have some sort of knowledge that there is an aspect to soldiers coming back or other people being in traumatic experiences and having long lasting effects. I didn't know about it at the time. So this is 2007, I got out. I started college at Delaware Valley College because in Iraq, I had my parents also, they didn't only send me booze, but they did send me seeds and soil and containers to start growing stuff over there. And that was my therapy. I stopped drinking nearly as much. I just needed something to take care of. And, it's something that was really close to my heart that was therapeutic to me. So I realized that just even seeing green things in the desert is so therapeutic. So it was not only helping me, but it was helping other people, and people would come to like my little garden. I grew zinnias and some cucumbers. Like it was just amazing to actually grow something in that situation, so that was very therapeutic for me. So I knew when I came back, I decided I wanted to go and get my degree in horticulture of some sort. I did specifically in ornamental horticulture, which is the flowers and the really beautiful things and the decorative stuff. All of that just makes my heart sing and just puts a smile on my face. And I know that it does for other people too. So in true fashion of a soldier, instead of using this as my therapy though, I got the degree in it and I threw myself into work. So my first job, when I left that job, they had to hire 2 people to fill my position. It's this overworking, throwing myself completely into it. And it was during that time also, maybe like a couple months before I had quit that job and left to go work and help my parents' job. It was just going to be a better fit for me. But I had called the suicide hotline, the veteran suicide hotline, because I was not right in my mind, and I wasn't getting the help either. I was drinking a lot then, partying a lot, just doing all the things to not deal with it, to numb it. I had really, really bad nightmares. I pretty much trained myself to not remember my dreams anymore, but that was a coping mechanism also. And I realized then I wasn't getting deep sleep also. So then I had this whole sleep aspect on top of it also. But just over time then, I realized through calling the Veteran Suicide Hotline, they asked me if I had gone to the VA and had any help with them. And I had not at this time. I just had private insurance that was super expensive and really crappy and not getting any sort of help. So I went to the VA, and it was a bit frustrating to finally like get into in the program and get my designation for what I needed help with. And that was the start of realizing that that what even PTSD was, and all these things that I thought that like, oh, I don't have those things. It's kind of like shameful to say that you have this stuff and you can't even control it. I had many outbursts at work, so I started kind of going through jobs. I had them maybe like a year or two, and it was mostly tolerable. I would take mental health days. I really never got sick, thank God, but I had to take days for mental health days, which yeah, we all do, but it was starting to just show up at work a lot more. And so I ended up getting fired from a couple of jobs for, I guess, having a veteran episode or like freaking out, breaking some stuff. At my last job, well, let's fast forward a few years then. I worked in an Ayurvedic herb farm, which was a godsend. It was working with all women, working with our hands, working back with plants. Again, I had helped my parents' business kind of get to the next level because I was going for my master's and MBA at that time, and really helped them launch, but I was very by myself. And this is also during the time that I found yoga and started doing yoga all the time. I started getting into meditation. I was having some trouble with meditation, but guided meditations. I found a class, an in-person class. I'm definitely an in-person sort of learner. So I went to a local studio and found a class that was guided meditations based on each of the different chakras. So that was like my introduction into these energy centers that we have in the body. And that kind of, I think, was like the launch for me to get into this spiritual world that was really, really, really calling me. After I was working at the herb farm for about 2 years, I went on a retreat to California where I learned a lot of wonderful things. Like one was Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches how we can break the neural pathways in the brain and retrain them to new ones. That was like aha moment for me. So I was like, you know what, this whole life that I've been living and all these things that I feel like are dragging me down and have been negative things, they don't have to be like that. So then a few months later, I met Bill after I got laid off from the herb farm because I freaked out and broke some stuff and like, whatever, had to be let go. So it was the best thing that happened because it was 2 weeks before COVID happened. So then maybe like a week or so later, I met Bill Mann. He's another pranic healer. He introduced me, invited me to come to the meditations on Tuesday night on Twin Hearts. And that was like the point that it was like church for me. Like I would not make any other plans. I wouldn't break them. And I guess that maybe it was like April of last year, May of last year, something like that. So it's been over a year now, and it still is. It's church for me. It centers me. It brings me back, along with yoga, of course, at first getting the movements and the body moving as well. But learning Reiki right about the same time that I got laid off, I learned Reiki, just learning more. I just had this calling for like whatever this energy is inside of me. Because I used to feel like a Care Bear, and I'd just be like, oh, I'm just sending this out to the world, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I found Reiki, and I found Amy Ionelli. She's another pranic healer as well. And we were in the first Reiki class together, took the second Reiki class, and just kept on like just being so interested by this energy stuff. Then Bill came along soon after that, started coming to these classes. To the meditations, and then we would have the group healings, and I would feel fantastic afterwards, just like so great. And I would, like during the Twin Heart meditation, we had to recall happy memories or happy events that happened in our life. And holy smokes, like there are so many things that I completely forgot about or I blocked out. You know, we tend to remember the things that are not that great. So this really brings about the stuff that your heart knows is true. And, you know, your third eye, all of it, it is the crown. It is so connected and remembers everything, all of the good things. And so through that, I just got more and more and more, just all of these, just like aha moments, and also seeing the opposite side of the memories that I had, seeing the good parts of them and being like, wow, this is the medicine in it. Alchemizing those lead, heavy, dark, negative experiences into knowing that that all happened for a reason. And now I can look back. Of course, you can look back. Hindsight is 20/20. But when you look back and you see that if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be where I am at today. I wouldn't have found this group. I wouldn't be on this healing path. There were a couple of things that I had wanted to make sure I mentioned, but another thing that was part of this path around the time that I even found yoga, found chakras, all of this, I put a little sticky note up on my mirror that said, it's okay to feel. This is just being like vulnerable is so scary. It was so scary. And that's another thing that I learned on the retreat out in California, is that really getting vulnerable, getting into these spots that it seems like you're going to die. Like if anybody knows this stuff, or if you have to talk about it, you like, there's been so many times I wasn't even able to speak. Nothing would come out. And I wanted to, my heart's pounding and all of this is going on. But pranic healing has really helped me, and through the meditations, to calm, to learn how to use those chakras, the energy centers, you know, to use psychotherapy to calm those things down and get rid of that negative energy, so that you can even have your energy flow and you can think clearly and you can actually feel. You're slowing down, you're quieting down, you're feeling what has always been there, but you've always just shoved it down, put that bottle top on top. So once I started doing the meditations on twin hearts, I realized, I also learned about the Maharishi effect, which is the influence of coherence and positivity in the social and natural environments generated by meditation. And that was by the late Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And it's really about collective intentions and having and doing things on purpose, and especially together. So from that, I feel such a camaraderie from this group. And when we're all working together, especially during Twin Hearts, we're all working together to send out our healing energies to the worlds. And you don't really get that a lot, you know, as a civilian. When you come out, you have to really seek out and find groups to have that feeling of camaraderie and a family. And you also have that, but it also, I do the meditation on Twin Hearts by myself too, you know, and it's an individual thing. You can really quiet your own self and quiet your own mind and learn so much about yourself through how you feel, but still also having that camaraderie and the support. And the other great thing about pranic healing is that it's all by protocols, which is very much like the military. If we had, like, I worked in a maintenance company on electronics. All right, this is the problem. We go to the technical manual, you follow the steps. That's pretty much how it is with most everything in the military. And that's how it is in the protocol, which I love, because with Reiki, you kind of are, it's all by feel, and it's working with energy that there's not a set way of doing it. So with Pranic Healing, it's almost like Reiki on steroids, because you're very intentional, it's very on purpose, and you have a set of of steps of what to do, which is, I think that's so fantastic to have that structure and the guidance throughout it, especially for people that were in the military, because that's already like ingrained in us. So sometimes when you're just thrown into something, you're like, whoa, where do I start? I know I have that a lot, like, where do I start with this? But I love that about Pranic Healing with the protocols. You're just amplifying that energy, you know, all together when you're doing it together, or even just as an individual, but having that exact protocol of knowing what to follow so that everything is completely covered. And in that, when I do healing, or when I do get healing, both ways, it fills my cup, like my heart's cup, my, you know, just what really makes me be my highest self and the best version of myself. Pranic Healing fills that cup. I always just feel fantastic after every session that we do. And that allows me to take that and spill it onto others. It overflows my cup, and it just really makes me want to continue reaching out to more people. And that's why I was so happy that Allison reached out to me, you know, that I can start to talk to other veterans, because that was always something very dear in my heart. Even learning, becoming a yoga teacher, yoga instructor, I wanted to reach out to other veterans. COVID has been hard to do that because I'm definitely a very much in-person sort of person, but thank God for these Zooms, and for Allison, for you holding all of these and, you know, pulling us all together, because we need people that are doing this. And I know that me as a vet, I have had so much support and just love from this group and the other groups, and it's worldwide. There are so many groups out there, so many masters, so many classes. It's endless. It really is. It's just how much you really want to dive in. And one of the things I look forward to every single week is a COVID pod. We do healings on people that are that have tested positive for COVID at all different levels. I absolutely love that. And one of the gals that does it, she's in Gibraltar, Chitra's in Gibraltar, Shadra's in India, Kathy's usually there, she's stateside, but you know, like it's from the whole entire world. And it's so beautiful just pulling all that energy together. It just magnifies and amplifies and makes us all just feel great. Like we just all have smiles the whole time, even though, you know, we're working on some serious cases. It's that intention of putting that out into it. So I think that's mostly it. If there's any questions or anything, I might have skipped around, but yeah. I guess I could say also, you know, just for my own pranic healing, I haven't been doing pranic healing as like an actual healer for that long. I took my first basic class with Cynthia De Leon in New Jersey, November of last year. And then February, I did the advanced, and then the crystal and psychotherapy class. So I used my crystal a lot during the healings, especially the COVID pods and stuff. And that's a whole nother very exciting and fascinating thing to be working with. But yeah, this energy stuff, there's really something to it. Getting those stuck emotions out of the tissues, working through them, just really feeling supported.
Mike, I see your hand.
Yes. I enjoyed your talk quite a lot. I wonder whether you had any experience with VA that was non-allopathic and traditional.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, in 2012, I went to the VA just to get in the program. And it's, I'm sure any other veterans that are here know that it can be very frustrating working with the VA. Yeah, I've almost had many, I guess what they would call veteran episodes or like breakdowns at the VA, just trying to make simple appointments or stuff like that. So you all know the frustration that can definitely hold. Yeah, I started out, I did go to multiple different therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, you know, the whole Wellbutrin thing, all the different medicines that they like to be put on first. But really I started making way when I was in talk therapy. I found a really great doctor after maybe 5 years of being in the VA. And so I finally found a really great doctor. 2 years later, unfortunately, or maybe a year or two later, she moved to Florida. But I really got some steam working up there and realized some of the basic things. Like, I had lost myself. I had thrown myself into a bunch of relationships, into work. I was not really me anymore. I know that's kind of weird to say, but I really wasn't. I had lost my spiritual connection with myself. And so once she had left, I took a little break, because it's like, we all don't want to have to get back in with a new therapist, talk about our whole entire thing again. So during that time, I had some problems, got back into it, because my doctor was like, you need to get back into it. And also vitamin D. Anybody who's not taking it, that is fantastic for everything. Got back into therapy, and I got into the pain management program, because I have multiple injuries in my body. So pain management, that helped tremendously. I then did cognitive behavioral therapy. That was very good as well. It was with the right doctor. You know, you have to just put the time in and just find somebody who really works with you. But once you find that person, you're able to move forward. It definitely really helps. So a lot of it, though, was just learning about myself more than anything, and listening to that whole thing that I said, you know, it's okay to feel. That really is the place where I learned a lot of my feelings, and also really learned that it's okay that I have PTSD, that I have IBS, that I have like these different things that I have experienced, and that's okay. You need to be aware of it first, so that you have a point to be able to start healing then. So it definitely did help. But about maybe like a year and a half ago now, I went to my regular doctor, and I told him that I worked on an Ayurvedic herb farm. His eyes lit up, and he was like, oh, these herbs. And that was really the turning point for me, when my health actually really got to be a lot better, was getting away from the Western medicine aspects, and, you know, doing herbs, way more natural stuff, cutting out, you know, a lot of the stuff that isn't good for us, getting on a cleaner diet. And that comes along with pranic healing, with spirituality as well. Your body just starts to not accept certain things anymore.
So I think what you're saying is the answer to the question was no, but you have grown out of it. So the VA didn't take you outside the complementary stuff. You took yourself outside, except for the mindfulness thing, right?
Right. Yeah. And even so, I think that between my main doctor there, Dr. Ongela, he grew up in India, and then my women's health doctor, Dr. Ghosh, he was from India also. And, you know, that's just how they were raised. So it was just so much easier for them to speak about it. But that's not normal at the VA. Like, I had to bring that up first. And even my women's health doctor, he gave me some meditations to do when my mind's racing and different stuff. And so helpful. Like, why are we not doing this for our vets and having the holistic approach? If it's working, it definitely should. So yeah, it really did push me towards knowing that I need to take my healthcare in my own hands. Nobody's going to do it for me.
And I think that's where pranic healing comes along, and is such a valuable asset that everybody that ever wore a uniform, whether it be in the military or the police, the fire departments, what have you, anybody that's been on the firing line, so to speak, in one way or the other. And I